Welcome to Wesley Impact. I'm Keith Garner. What goes through your mind when you meet for the first time a person who's living with a disability? Thank you for joining us today. I'm glad you're with us. I'd like to spend some time today looking at our work with people who are living with a disability, and more importantly, looking at how we might be able to have a much more positive relationship with people living with a disability. Today I'm going to also be speaking with Elizabeth Bileski from our Wesley Vocational Training, who's leading a work where we train people in the skills needed to work with people, particularly who have a disability, but many other areas of training also, equipping people with a disability to find skills that they need to maintain meaningful employment. I'm looking forward to a conversation with Elizabeth in a few moments. We'll also take a look at Zach's story. Zach is a young man who's living with autism. And Wesley Mission has journeyed with Zach's family, doing all we can to help provide the family unit with everything that they need. And we'll be joined by an emerging Christian artist, Grace Saunders, who will sing the popular song Broken Vessels. And I'll be sharing some thoughts from a book in the Old Testament. For some time I've wanted to focus on a book from the Old Testament, and I'm at the beginning of 5 weeks when we look at Jeremiah. Today we'll be looking at how God called Jeremiah to be his mouthpiece, even though he felt young and inexperienced. A disability can be defined as any limitation, restriction or impairment which restricts everyday activities and that lasts for certainly at least 6 months. Now, it's not limited to people who've got a long-term illness or a physical restriction, nor is it something that should be taken advantage of. Through our work at Wesley Mission, we seek to do all the good we can by providing services that support people with a disability and their carers. We offer accommodation, respite, community living, life skills training, and disability employment. One example of our respite work is 17-year-old Zach. We work with Zach and his family and are seeing life-changing results. Here is Zach's story.
I'm Susan Smale. I'm the mother of 2 wonderful children. I have a 19, almost 20-year-old daughter, and this guy here, Mr. 17-year-old Zachary, who happens to have autism, and to us autism means you're perfect and your brain works differently. When Zach was young, he was very fast and very busy, and his sister and I struggled to keep up with him. He was into everything that wasn't locked, and he tried to get through the locks as well. He didn't stop until he went to bed. And bedtime was a really good time of the day for everybody. Zach was about 2 when he started to passionately like bins, and I thought it was just a toy thing, and they used to have the little mini bins at Kmart, and I bought some for toys and shoes, and it became a thing that they had to go out with our bins at the front of the house, and then they ended up with rubbish in them, and we worked out it wasn't just toys at all, it was a serious thing, and I thought he'd grow out of it. And 17 years later, here we are still doing bins. Zach has a mobile phone and he reminds people on their bin day, friends of ours around Australia, to put out their whatever colour it is, and he remembers which one is recycling, which one is grass bin. He does Melbourne, he does Sydney, he does Queensland, and we're very proud. Zach was very challenging with his behaviour. He was quite violent. In preschool we had anti-violent funding. He wasn't diagnosed early enough. We tried, but everyone just patted him on the head and said, oh, he's the extreme end of busy, which was just the understatement of the year. He was in and out of everything in a flash, out the door if you didn't lock it, in the cupboard and eating stuff that you didn't want him to eat. He was an escape artist. He'd run and he would just keep running, and there was no fear of water or the roads. He wanted to do the garbage, but he'd run out in front of the truck, so I'd always hold him by the wrist. I still look at people walking up and down a busy road and they're not holding their little kids' hands, and I used to be jealous because I still hold his hand, not just for comfort for me now. I know he's safe and he won't do silly stuff, but he wasn't. He was probably 12 or 13 before that really kicked in. It was a struggle. It was just we all tried to keep sane or hide in our rooms, or everyone needed to be away from each other. There wasn't any one particular thing that seemed to help. Zach transferred to the Hill School in Year 5, and they suggested that we look at Wesley Respite, which I'd never really heard of, never used, and it was fabulous. I couldn't believe that there was this opportunity that we could all just have a bit of a rest from each other and regather our thoughts. The benefit to me is great, but the benefit for both kids far outweighs anything else, that they all have their own time. They all recoup, regather, start fresh. Zach might go to respite and we're all cranky with each other. By the time he comes home, we've all missed each other. Last week, Zach went for a week in the holidays to Wesley Respite. And when he got home on Friday, Maddie came home from work and she said, "Oh, I've really missed you." And that was really sweet. My kids get on rather well, but last week I haven't seen this loveliness for a little bit of time, so it was good for everyone. If Zach wasn't going to Wesley Respite, I think we would be a little frazzled. I think the little things that we can deal with would become bigger things. Wesley Respite was a saviour for all of us, including Zach.
If you would like to see more of the work of Wesley Mission, visit wesleymission.org.au. You can watch loads more videos, catch up on past episodes of Wesley Impact TV, find out about our diverse range of services, and get involved to help make a positive difference in your community. You can also connect with us on social media and stay up to date on the latest news and information from Wesley Mission. wesleymission.org.au.
Please don't hesitate to be in touch if you'd like to know more about our disability services work or any other part of Wesley Mission. Our email address, once again, is impacttv@wesleymission.org.au. And the website, of course, is wesleymission.org.au. Joining us now, we look at our Wesley Disability employment work and some of the training work that Elizabeth Bileski has responsibility for. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
When we think of employment training, we often focus upon skills of finding a job, but there's much more to it than that, isn't there?
Yeah, look, there is. I guess in relation to finding a job, I think if anyone is wanting to upskill their area and how they sort of, to support them in trying to get that work, training is always really beneficial and important, regardless of where they are on that journey.
How is our work with disability employment different?
Disability employment, I guess, is unique. In looking at each individual person, having a look at what their abilities are and what their skills are, and being able to sort of work with that to try to sort of progress them into employment is important. You have to sort of look at that individual, I guess, need and what they're wanting to achieve. I guess, yeah.
So there are two aspects then of it. There's training what I would call able-bodied people, family, friends, and to work in that space. And there's also trying to enable people who do have a disability to maintain some kind of employment.
Yes, definitely. So when we sort of look at people with disabilities and trying to sort of progress them into getting employment or into those life skills, there's a whole lot of areas. You know, you sort of look at life skills firstly and what can we support them with, but then looking at what other opportunities are available for them to be able to progress in their journey. So there might be some horticulture training if they're looking for gardening or looking at landscaping type of work, hospitality training, community services, general training. So trying to sort of support them in what they want, like any able-bodied person.
What do you get most out of the work that you do when you're involved in training?
Yeah, look, I think for me it's I am a Christian. I am someone that wants to be able to help everyone and support people, and I guess being part of Wesley Mission, you know, we do all the good for everyone and every single person as they come into our lives. I think for me, whether they do have a disability, whether they are an able-bodied person, whether they're wanting to get into disability services, however we can support them on their pathway is really important to me, and something that I sort of
and I think I want to say that it is one of the most challenging areas, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't want anybody to think that this is easy stuff, because when you're working with some of those challenges, it can be hard, can't it?
Yeah, look, definitely. I think challenges for anyone is difficult, but when you are sort of going through a disability, obviously, you know, what is perceived, you know, for everyone else, I guess for everyone else looking at this person, it's probably not, you know, there's only so many limitations, but for them, they want to progress, they want to sort of get better at what they're doing. And I guess the work that we do at Wesley Training, we sort of incorporate a whole lot of different areas, and try to support this individual person in their pathway. You know, whether it be, like I sort of said, whether it be, you know, part of supporting them with their finances, you know, we do financial literacy training, you know, whether it be chaplaincy and pastoral care, you know, whether it be specific areas like that, or whether it is just to support them in their journey.
And it must be very special when you come to graduation if you've got somebody who was perhaps a bit reluctant to do it, and then they do it. Yeah,
look, I think within Wesley Training, we get a range of different people coming in to you know, to sit in one of our courses, and more often than not, they do. They're there because they want to progress in their life. We do get refugees. Sometimes we get people that are disadvantaged and unemployed, looking for work, and they're reluctant to come in and do training because they probably, as far as they're concerned, have failed at some point in their life in relation to doing that, or have never had the opportunities maybe to do any training. So they come in, you know, we try to sort of progress them in the training, and try to sort of keep them on track, I guess, and follow through with to completion. We do have a program called the Workforce Development Program, which gives them a pathway. You know, in addition to the training, it is giving them some work and practical experience and support them in employment. So.
And certainly with disability, things are changing remarkably. The whole landscape is changing. Yeah. If somebody was thinking of working in or giving some time to work alongside people with a disability, and they were reluctant, just in a sentence, what would you say to that person?
They can do it. They can do it as long as they have that passion, as long as they want to be there for people and want to support people. They can do it. I think you just need to have that right attitude and want and need to help people.
Elizabeth, thank you for talking with me and for having the passion yourself, because you can't ever do these things if you don't have it yourself. Do stay with us, and I'd like to touch base with you later in the programme. Now welcome Grace Saunders to join Craig Gower and the Wesley Impact Band to sing the popular song Broken Vessels.
Pieces broken and scattered, in mercy gathered, mended and whole, empty-handed, burned out, forsaken. I've been set free, I've been set free. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, I can see now. Oh, I can see the love in your eyes, laying yourself down, raising up the broken to the love in your eyes, laying yourself down, raising up the broken to life.
It's been 200 years since the first Methodists met in Australia. To celebrate 2 centuries of faith and pioneering care, CEO and presenter Rev Dr. Keith Garner takes us back to where it all began.
But we don't begin here at the heart of London. We begin in a town in the north of England.
In this fascinating narrative, Rev Garner chronicles the history of the life and times of the founder of Methodism, John Wesley. This fresh and thought-provoking documentary takes us on a journey throughout the United Kingdom, beginning in John Wesley's hometown of Epworth.
John Wesley was born here on the 17th of June 1703.
This 1-hour DVD travels onto his education years and beginnings of social justice in Oxford, to his final years in London. For more information on John Wesley, the man and his mission, call 02 9263 5555 or email us at impacttv@wesleymission.org.au.
The call of Jeremiah. Now, Jeremiah felt that God was calling him, and yet God's perspective was that his calling didn't just happen, but had existed even before he was born. Let me read to you some of those words from the first chapter of Jeremiah 4 through to verse 10. The word of the Lord came to me, saying, Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Alas, sovereign Lord, I said, I don't know how to speak, I'm too young. But the Lord said to me, Do not say I'm too young. You must go to everyone I send you, and say whatever I command you. Don't be afraid of them, for I am with you and I'll rescue you, declares the Lord. Then the Lord reached out his hand and touched my mouth and said to me, I've put my words in your mouth. See, today I appoint you over nations and kingdoms, to uproot and to tear down, to destroy and overthrow, to build and to plant. Now at first, Jeremiah resists the call. He says, I'm too young, I'm too inexperienced. How many people have felt that? That's something that was deep within him, this sense of reluctance because of those things that he felt he didn't have. And then God assures the prophet that he'll go with him. I'm sure that that's the truth that follows on in verses 7 to 8. Don't say I'm too young. You must go to everyone I send you and say whatever I do. Don't be afraid, for I am with you. So he's being asked to do something, but not asked to do it alone. And then God touches the lips of the prophet. Now, this is an important part in the calling of anyone, but it's particularly important in the prophets when they felt that God was somehow engaging with them. There's a real intimacy about these words. Then the Lord reached out his hand and touched my mouth and said to me, I've put my words in your mouth. God touches the lips of the prophet. Like Jesus Christ, Jeremiah would suffer a great deal due to his faithfulness in proclaiming a message that nobody wanted to hear. I mean, what a message he got. It wasn't easy. He wasn't said, go out there and everything will be nice, tell everybody they're good, tell everybody that the world's all going to turn out right. See, today I appoint you over the nations and kingdoms to uproot and tear down, to destroy and overthrow, to build and to plant. Now, there are positive elements of that message. That's what building and planting is all about. But there's some powerful aspects too. Jeremiah's call didn't come like a vision as it did to Isaiah, but by feeling that God was speaking directly to him. God knew, formed, consecrated, and appointed him to a task. And that task was a very real one and would make such a difference. And in the coming weeks, we're going to look at what that ministry was all about and what it meant in his day. Jeremiah was at a particular point in history. All of us have a context, and Jeremiah certainly had a context. And the context in which he ministered and which he was a prophet was a difficult time. And he told the people things were going to be difficult. He didn't have an easy message. And the message that he gave to them came directly out of this call. He never forgot his call. In all our lives, we have a purpose. As we heard Elizabeth talk about earlier, she's passionate about training. Training is so very, very important. That can't be removed from her because that's so much a part of her life. And so it is that Jeremiah had a passion, and his passion was to speak for God, wherever that was to be. Sometimes you'll find as you turn the pages and as we look over these coming weeks, sometimes he would speak that message simply with words. There are other times when there are actions that attend his words, when he realizes and shows exactly what it is to the people there that God was saying to them. His message sometimes was smooth, but very often it had a tough side to it. And people didn't like it. Not everybody thought Jeremiah was good, you know. He was rejected by many, and that's the point, that sometimes if you're going to follow God's way, if you're going to follow God's will, there will be times when what you say and what you do will not be received as easily as other things. But in the end, the word that God gives to us, whatever it is that God calls us to, there is a positive side to that. And always when Jeremiah is sharing the tough stuff, so it is that it leads us to a brighter future and to a place where he is. And God never left him. I think that's probably the most encouraging thing that I read in a passage like this on the calling of God in Jeremiah's life. God will never leave him, nor forsake him, abandon him. He'll always be with him, and what he promises, he will actually keep in his life. So Jeremiah, it's going to be great over these weeks to share more about him and to be able to share with you this one that was appointed by God.
If you would like to contact Keith and find out more about today's program, write to us at Wesley Mission, Post Office Box A5555, Sydney South 1235, or you can send an email to impacttv@wesleymission.org.au. On our website, you can catch up on past episodes of Wesley Impact, find out more about our work, read online magazines and articles, and connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. You can also connect to Keith's blog and stay up to date on all of the latest news and information from Wesley Mission. wesleymission.org.au.
Thank you for joining us today. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you'd like to know more information about our work at Wesley Mission in all areas of our disability services. An amazing story of Zach earlier on, wasn't it? And his family. And you can also watch this and past episodes of Wesley Impact TV. Usual email address, impacttv@wesleymission.org.au, and the website there, of course. I also look forward to hearing from people when you write in. I always try and reply. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Elizabeth a little earlier. What if somebody is living with a disability or seeking to help somebody with a disability as a lived experience? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, well, look, I think anyone wanting to get into disability services, whether they have a disability or just wanting to support people in that area, they can do it. There's opportunities there to be able to do whatever you want, whatever position you are in. And I think just go out there and find it. Mm-hmm. Go out there and find it. Push yourself through. There are training products. There are different support services available to be able to support you in that pathway to get there.
Thank you for your time, Elizabeth, today. People with disability are not recipients of services. Sometimes they can do things themselves, and that's wonderful. I look forward to the next episode of Wesley Impact TV. Thanks for joining us again. God bless you, and see you again 1 week from now.
Wesley Mission helps more than 500 people each year through our Wesley Disability Services. To find out more, visit wesleymission.org.au.